I gave him his whole life, but on his wedding day, he told me I was nothing.
It was a quiet afternoon when the phone rang. Dorothy smiled when she saw her son's name on the screen. She thought he might have good news to share, perhaps about his wedding or even to ask her opinion on something important. But as soon as she heard his voice, her heart sank. His words were cold and cutting. "Get out. You are ugly. I don't want you here." For a moment, Dorothy thought she had misheard. This was her son, the boy she carried for 9 months, the child she raised through sleepless nights, the young man she supported with all her strength. Now he was telling her she wasn't good enough to stand by him on the most important day of his life. Her hand shook as she held the phone. She wanted to ask him why, but the words wouldn't come out. Then she heard him speak again, calmly explaining that his fiancée, Rebecca, wanted a perfect wedding, and Dorothy, with her wrinkles and tired face, would spoil the image. Her chest burned with pain, as if someone had stabbed her heart. She slowly lowered the phone and sat in silence. The walls around her felt like they were closing in, and the world spun faster than she could manage. Her son had just told her that she was unwanted. In that moment, something in Dorothy began to shatter. Dorothy stayed in her chair long after the call ended. His words echoed in her mind like a cruel song she couldn't escape. She wanted to believe it was a mistake, but deep down she knew Michael meant every word. Rebecca was the woman he wanted to impress now, and she was just an obstacle in the perfect life he was creating. He told her not to come, that the wedding wasn't for old, wrinkled faces. Dorothy gently touched her cheeks, her skin soft but marked by years of sacrifice. Was this really how he saw her? Ugly? A burden? Her eyes landed on an old photo frame on the table. It held Michael's graduation picture. He had beamed that day, his arm proudly around her. She remembered how he had said, "Mom, I couldn't have done this without you." She had cooked, worked extra hours, walked in the rain, and prayed through long nights to ensure he had everything he needed. And now, that same son wanted to keep her hidden away like a shameful secret. Dorothy pressed the photo to her chest and whispered, "How did we come to this, my son?" Her heart felt heavier. She believed family was forever, but maybe she was wrong. That night, she barely slept. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with thoughts. The words replayed over and over until she whispered them in the dark. "You are ugly. I don't want you here." Tears streamed down her cheeks. She covered her mouth to silence her sobs. In the morning, Dorothy sat by the window, the soft light touching her tired face. Michael had also said something that hurt even more. He suggested she think about moving into a nursing home. He said it so kindly, as if he cared. But Dorothy knew the truth. It wasn't about caring. It was about hiding her away. She recalled all the years she had given him everything. She remembered skipping meals so he could eat, wearing old shoes so he could have new ones. She remembered the nights she went to bed hungry, yet content, because Michael had enough. And this was her reward, being unwanted and pushed aside. Anger rose within her. She couldn't understand how a son could be so blind. She wasn't just old. She was his mother. Dorothy got up and walked slowly to her shelf. She pulled out an old box covered in dust. Inside were papers, bank records, property deeds, and savings she had quietly built over the years. Michael thought she was poor, just a week-old woman living in a small house. He had no idea she was worth millions, having worked silently to invest every little coin wisely. She sat there, staring at the papers, her tears drying on her cheeks. All her life, she had thought about him. Every decision, every sacrifice, every plan had been about Michael's future. But now she realized he didn't see her worth. To him, she was just an embarrassment. Her fingers tightened on the papers. She thought, if he doesn't see my value as his mother, maybe he doesn't deserve my worth at all. Something new sparked inside her, something stronger than pain. It was the beginning of a resolution. She looked at the photo of her younger self on the wall, a woman brimming with dreams. For the first time in years, Dorothy felt that woman awaken again. The next day, she called her old friend Helen. Helen had been by her side since school. When Dorothy told her what Michael said, Helen was silent at first, then let out a deep sigh. "I always warned you," Helen said softly. "He uses you, Dorothy. He only calls when he needs something. Now that he doesn't need you, he throws you away." Dorothy wanted to argue and defend her son, but she couldn't. Deep down, she knew Helen was right. Memories of Michael asking for money, requesting help, seeking support yet never asking about her life, flooded her mind. He had taken without giving back, and she had allowed it because she loved him. Helen reached over and took her hand. "You gave him your life. Don't let him take your soul, too. It's time you think about yourself." Dorothy's lips trembled. For the first time, she admitted aloud, "He doesn't love me. Not really." Saying it shattered her heart, but it also helped her see the truth. Days later, Dorothy found herself sitting in a lawyer's office. The room smelled of old books and polished wood. Mr. Franklin, her lawyer, looked at her kindly as she handed him the papers. "I want to change my will," she said firmly. He nodded, listening carefully as she explained. She was no longer leaving everything to Michael. Instead, her fortune would go to a foundation that helped struggling women rebuild their lives. Women who had been forgotten. Women like her. Her voice shook as she spoke, but her eyes remained steady. Mr. Franklin wrote down every word, ensuring her wishes were clear. When she signed the papers, she felt a strange weight lift off her shoulders. For years, she had feared disappointing her son, but now she realized she was free. As she left the office, Dorothy felt lighter. Michael would never expect this. He thought she was powerless, but he had no idea what she had just done. That night, she sat at her desk and began writing a letter. Her hand shook slightly, but the words flowed easily. She told Michael about the nights she had gone hungry so he could eat. She reminded him of the shoes she patched repeatedly so he could have new ones. She shared the sacrifices he never knew. Then her tone shifted. She expressed how his words had hurt her, how his rejection had taken away something inside her. She explained that by choosing Rebecca and appearances over his mother, he had lost more than just her presence at his wedding. She sealed the letter in an envelope and placed it beside the updated will. It was no longer anger she felt. It was clarity. One day he would read it. One day he would understand. For the first time in years, Dorothy began thinking about her own life. She sat with Helen, sipping tea, and they laughed like they used to as girls. Helen suggested they travel, maybe see the ocean, or visit another country. Dorothy smiled at the idea. She had spent her life waiting for someone else's happiness. Now it was time to find her own. The next morning, she walked through the park, the wind brushing her face. She saw young children playing and couples holding hands, and a strange peace washed over her. She wasn't finished. Life wasn't over. It was just beginning differently. As the wedding approached, Dorothy made a quiet decision. She would go. Not to be welcomed or celebrated, but to see the life her son had chosen for himself. She bought a simple but beautiful dress, had her hair styled, and gazed in the mirror. She didn't look ugly. She looked strong. When the day finally arrived, she walked slowly into the church, unnoticed by most. She sat quietly in the back, watching. Michael looked happy, smiling beside Rebecca, believing he had erased her from the picture. Dorothy held her head high, her envelope safe in her bag. After the ceremony, when the crowd cheered and music played, Dorothy stood. She walked up to her son, who was laughing with his new bride. For a brief moment, their eyes met. His smile faded, surprise crossing his face. She handed him the envelope, her eyes steady, her voice calm. "This is for you." She turned and walked away before he could respond. Inside that envelope was the truth, the letter, the will, the fortune he thought he deserved, but had now lost. Dorothy stepped out of the church doors, the sun warm on her face. For the first time, she wasn't just Michael's mother. She was Dorothy, a woman who had given everything and had now taken back her freedom.